Hey, this is Andrew Norp, and welcome to A Fool's Errand, a podcast where we plan to fail, make mistakes, and learn 12 skills in 12 months. It's episode 7, week 2 of Constitution. This week, we're going to discuss our major change in plans, how we've been memorizing, and our thoughts about the future of this project. Hey everyone, thank you guys so much for coming out and listening to this episode of A Fool's Errand. I think this one will be the first one in like forever to actually come out on Monday. Woot woot. If you're new here, I'm taking every month of 2021 to learn a new skill. My first month was chess, and it went pretty well. I got way better at chess, and my second month is to learn the Constitution and become very familiar with it as a document. My ideal outcome, which is these things I have for each month that I'm kind of shooting for, of Constitution month is to memorize it, though that may have changed. We'll get into an audio clip right out the gate about that, and you guys can hear my thoughts throughout the week of what we might be doing different. I just had a coaching session with my life coach, who's also my uncle, coincidentally. That's how I can get cheap life coaching. But we thought about it, and we were looking up, and I decided that memorizing the Constitution is not actually what I want to do, because I was like, wonder actually how much effort, how difficult this would take. Like, this would be, I knew it would be difficult, but like, maybe it'll be so difficult that I won't even like get familiar with the document because I'll be so focused on the words, and then I won't even memorize the words, so it'll be like fail. So we looked it up, like, has anyone ever tried to memorize the Constitution? We discovered a 10-year-old genius had, and it took him 6 months and hours of work a day. So it became a lot less plausible, but I can still definitely become very familiar. So my plan is I want to be able to, there are 46 pieces, 7 articles, and then there's an amount of sections in each of them. So I want, if anyone says like Article 1, Section 7, to be able to explain what that article means and summarize it. So this will still be difficult, because 46 articles is actually quite a lot, but it'll be a lot more achievable, and it'll kind of be closer to what our real goal is, which is to become very familiar with it as a document, because I'm going to have to be reading it and then like summarizing it with my own words and rewriting it and editing it and learning about the history and really learning what each sentence means, so then I can write a succinct summary that I can then memorize, and I can use my memorization tactics better, because it'll be more like a speech where I'm memorizing ideas and not words. So then I have like, I have 46 ideas I need to memorize, and then as long as I have the idea, I know what I'm saying. It can be a little more off the cuff. And for you guys as listeners, it might be more helpful for you, because if you want to know about the Constitution, I'm going to be writing a summary of it that I will then recite on here, and you guys will get to hear it, so maybe you'll learn something as well. Currently, though, I'm still going to be reading it once a day, and I'm still, of course, going to be, I think, memorizing the preamble will be fun, and if, like, halfway through the month, I'm like, I really wanted to scratch that memorizing itch, I might memorize the Declaration of Independence, because I know a lot of people do that. Now it's shorter. My favorite thing I have discovered, though, while reading it, is probably the line that the Congress has the ability to manage and restrict piracy on the high seas. Reminds you that this document was written in the 1700s. And also I like the line where Congress, nor any other part of the government, can award titles of nobility. I mean, once again, a reminder that founding fathers really didn't like nobility. They wanted to get out of that system. I find it funny they even have to mention that, because to me that's so base to America, the idea we don't have nobility. But they had to explain that, and that's how it became so base. I want to have the ability to tell you what any section of the Constitution means. There are 46 kind of sections, because there's actually 30 sections, and then, there's like 29 sections, and then I think 27 amendments, so there's 46 sections, or kind of like pieces that I have to become familiar with. And I started to try to figure out ways to memorize each section day by day. And a section isn't like one idea. A section's normally about, like, depends on the section, like a couple paragraphs long with a couple clauses. So it's normally like 3 to 5 ideas in each section that I'd have to memorize. Okay. It's Wednesday.
I've been using this crazy new method for memorizing things where you like super concentrate your brain and you're imagining you're going through a space, like you're walking through a space you're very familiar with, and then you attach ideas to certain locations in that place. So I'm imagining I walk into the town I walk into a lot, and like restaurants I go to and shops I buy stuff from along that walk are associated with different ideas. And I thought it might be a bunch of like polycock, dumb stuff like it's in like the Sherlock TV show with mind palaces. But you know what? It's been working crazy. I had to like do it twice, and now I like know it exactly, the thing. Because all I had to do is close my eyes, imagine I'm on that walk, and be like, I am now at the soda shop. What do I associate that with? And then I'm like, oh yeah. And then I can just do it in the right order. And it worked great. My only fear is I'm going to run out of places to walk through, because I have 46 sections, and I've only memorized 2 of them. Granted, the first like 5 sections are the longest ones. But still, we'll have to see, though. If I want to get done with this before the end of the month, I'm going to have to memorize 3 sections a day. I've not been going at that rate, so we need to up our game so I can start memorizing 3 sections a day. Let's ignore the fact that some of the amendments have sections. The amendments I am going to memorize a little less closely unless there's some of the important amendments, but I'm still going to memorize them. And there are like a fair amount of amendments which just cancel each other out, so who even cares? Well, I don't even have to memorize those. Well, I will. I will understand that they cancel each other out and what they are, because I want to have the ability, if anyone's like, Andrew, what is the 25th Amendment? And I can be like, it's the one that tells you who's president if someone dies, or whatever. So then I can, even if I don't know it down pat because maybe it's changed since that amendment, I at least know what the amendment does or what its purpose was or a little bit of the context. So yeah, it's been real fun to discover stuff about my government.
As discussed there, I was not going at the rate I would have liked, but I was still memorizing things, and it was that strategy I was talking about was working like a charm. Like, I would think it would take like hours a day to memorize stuff, but no, it took me like an hour or 2 to memorize like 10 ideas because all I have to do is like associate them with the places. So I was memorizing pretty fast, but I needed to start memorizing more, so I started to do that over the next couple days.
Okay. I've only been practicing for about 30 minutes, and I can do a very rough, there's a lot of pausing and thinking even for like a minute or 2 sometimes, and and ands, but I can do 3 more sections than I could when I recorded last. So now I can do, well, actually only 2 more, sorry. I can do 4, 5, and 6. Actually, so wait, that is 3 more. But I'm going to memorize the 7th, so then I'll have done 7 sections kind of today. I'll have done 3.5 sections today if I memorize the 7th. And memorize is, of course, a loose term. It's more like I'm giving a speech, right? And I know the speech, and I know all the main points of the speech. Or what I was thinking about earlier today is how, in a way, I have D&D rulebook memorized, Dungeons & Dragons, which is a complicated game. It's not as complicated as it used to be, and I don't think it's as complicated as some people make it out to be, but it does have a big, fat rulebook about the size of a novel. And I know like 99% of the rules in there. Like, I can like just recite them off the top of my head because I've only read that book once or twice, but I've looked up so many rules in it, and I've played the game so long now that the rules are just kind of ingrained in me. And so in a way, I could I do have them memorized, right? If there's there are very few situations in the game where I don't know the rules, and sometimes there aren't. I just look them up in the book. But one thing I don't have is I could not recite the rules in order. I kind of just know the rules. But I'm trying to know all the rules of the American government and know them in order. And I can do it with D&D. I do it very well. I mean, you can name any first level spell and I can tell you what it does, or you can name any like combat situation and I can tell you what you need to do or what the rules are. And you name any class in D&D and I can tell you their first level abilities and such. So it's a possibility.
The audio cut off there at the end a bit, but what I was saying is that while I'm almost trying to explain it to this imaginary person I have in my head, I'll be like, and they'll like ask almost a question. They're like, so when can they impeach exactly? I'm like, I don't really know. And I have to go look that up, and that's been really helpful for learning the stuff. And this whole process has been really helping the document come to life because I'm like watching shows about it, watching courses, reading books, and then kind of you'll read one article and you'll be like, one section you'll be like, I know the argument that the founding fathers had about that, or I know the political reasons, or you'll read it and know it pretty well. Then later you'll hear it in one of these videos and you'll be like, oh. So there's kind of all these connections that are being drawn, which is really nice. And then sometimes I read and I have no idea what it means, and I have to look up or find a video or something. And so I know what all these sections mean now, which is really cool. And now I know the U.S. government like 10 times better than I did when I started. If you would have at the beginning of this been like, what is the difference between like Senate, Congress, and the House of Representatives, I wouldn't have quite known how to answer you. Now I'm very aware of their differences, but I still sometimes get it wrong. I still sometimes, for some reason, call the House of Representatives Congress and Senate Senate. So, yeah, we're figuring that out, but it's been interesting and helpful.
I'm shortening a bit of the Constitution right now, and oftentimes there are things that I can shorten, like, pretty majorly, like this part, which is, like, basically tells them you all the ways Congress can manage the money of the United States. So I basically just said, Congress, they can manage how we tax and where our money goes and how we borrow. Like, it's a shortened version. And there are other times when the Constitution just says it in the shortest way possible, like to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. Like there are not really many ways I can shorten that. They've done it. I kind of like it when they do that. It makes my job easier. I am a little worried I'm going to run out of like places to attach these ideas to, because the place method is working so well for me that I'm now just on on Street View, so I can make sure I know my town well enough that I can then like attach it to all the places in my town I know vaguely well. And then I'm going to have to start like finding new places to walk so I can discover new places to make like my mind town. You have a palace, I have a town. Beat that, Sherlock.
I came up with a solution for that problem of maybe running out of town. Maybe I should just get to know parts of my town better. Maybe this project has coincidentally made me now know the layout of certain roads better, because maybe if I just learn those, I can then attach it to ideas, because the theory behind this is that it is way easier for our mind to remember spaces than ideas, because evolutionarily we were hunter-gatherers, so it was important for our brains to be able to understand where the berries are, what direction like the coyotes ran, but it wasn't really helpful for us to remember, like Clause B of Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution. But if we can attach those to ideas, I have a lot of emotions associated with maybe how a house looks, where it's located, and a lot of feelings, so all I need to do is just pluck one of those out. Maybe the fact that, I think that house is kind of creepy looking. Maybe it's haunted. Oh, what else is involving haunted? Oh, yeah, this is the house that is about what Congress can do with war, because people die in war and hauntings and stuff. And then there's a lot of thoughts about that house I can grab onto, but really there's only one thought about the Congress thing, and that's just that fact. So I decided to go downtown.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock. I need to maximize my use of downtown, so I'm driving to the town to go to a spot that I know, but not well enough to just like remember the order of the buildings off the top of my head, so I can then be there to attach the places and the ideas, the ideas to buildings. But it's raining, and it's not super nice out, so I'm in my rain jacket riding my bike. I would rather not do this, but I need to attach the ideas. I tried doing it on, on Street View, but that wasn't good enough. I need to be there. I don't know if I recorded it. I didn't, because I forgot. But yesterday, I was in town and I just got some food and stuff and did it. And it was a nice day yesterday, so it was a nice experience to go into town. Whereas today, it's a little bit more, rainy. But I like the rain, actually. I just don't really like being wet. I love these gates. Yes, I am going to use the library as one of the locations, the graveyard, because it's someplace I have spent more time than a lot of people, probably because of Ghost Walk. It's the last location on the Ghost Walk, so I oftentimes end up just standing in it. Well, I'm waiting for everyone to file out and stuff. Sit down on the bench right here and begin taking notes. It's a rather beautiful graveyard. The headstones are old and very pretty. It's kind of small, surrounded by trees. It looks great in the rain.
As discussed, the environment of the rain and the graves and all that it was really helpful for me to kind of ground myself and think about what I needed and how I was before that I was super anxious. I'm like, this project's not gonna work. I've wasted all my first 2 weeks. We're ruined. But as I was there and thinking, I realized, hey, we're actually ahead of schedule right now. I mean, like, at the rate we're going, we'll get there fine. I do need to make a couple changes to how I'm spending my time, but besides that, everything's working great. I love memorizing the Constitution. I was scared that I would hate it, but so far I've really enjoyed it. This learning process. It's not just about I'm learning ideas. There's so many fun questions, and you realize there are these things you knew but didn't know. There's a lot.
Okay, I'm here back at my house. I have I'm gonna start memorizing those things I kind of attach the ideas to, and maybe read it through, record it. I'll probably cut it out and record it on here and see. Well, not read it through. Try to speak it through. Well, without the paper, and see. Then I can listen back through and see how well I do.
Okay. Reading through, I did them all right. Man, this space strategy is too good. I mean, I don't sound very good while I'm saying them. Kind of but I'm getting better every time I do it. Just like the first one, there's a lot of ums, and I'm just like, it's the idea with pirates and stuff. But I mean, if I waited a bit, I could explain it. So that's good. Memorizing the ideas super well, and then normally as I go along, I can say them better and better and better. There's a couple things I don't understand. For example, no capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed or to be taken. Nice. So I think that means no income tax, but unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. So what does that mean? Also, I have this really long section that's supposed to be one idea, because it basically is like powers denied Congress, and there's a bunch of ideas, and then powers denied the states, and then the first section is kind of like all the powers denied Congress and some of the powers that Congress has. So I kind of put that all in one, hoping that I'd remember it, because I remember it in the other places, but I don't exactly, so I'm going to have to learn to remember that a little better. But so far I got it mostly. I do want to be able to say it a little better. A little more than, something like saying, Congress has the ability to tax, borrow, and loan money, and basically just manage money and stuff. That's what I'm saying when I say that. I want it to do with, I want to sound a little better than, they can manage money, woo! Because I want to be able to explain it to someone else and understand it better. But I didn't know, this is awesome. Fun fact of the day. The American government cannot just stop piracy, but also they can create privateers, which are just hired pirates. They can create pirates. Isn't that awesome? We can do that technically. We haven't done it for a while, but we can.
So all in all, and so far, this project has been a great success. I've been learning so much. I've been having a ton of fun. But we're going to jump right into how I failed this week, because even though it's been working, there have definitely been a fair amount of failures. Andrew, why can't you just get in your head that a schedule may not be a bad idea? Actually, I know why that is. Welcome to How I Failed This Week, and you may have already guessed from that opening little section how I failed this week, but here we discuss how I failed, what I learned from it, and what I'm going to change in the future. You may remember that the last section of how I failed this week was discussing time management. And you know how I failed this week? I didn't learn from that failure, because this week I have had the worst time management out of like any week in my entire life. I was like, most of my work was done after 5, which I mean, I'm homeschooled. I could do my work whenever I want. I work from home, but I wasn't managing my time very well. And I was thinking about it and talking to people about it. I was like super scared of almost making a daily schedule that was pretty hard and fast. And I think for a couple reasons. Number one, do not infringe upon my liberties of controlling what I do every day. I used to like schedules a lot, and I still do. I used to practice schedules quite often, but I would oftentimes change them a ton, or I wouldn't stick with them for very long because I didn't like being controlled. I liked to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And also because schedules don't know best. When you make a schedule, you might not understand what workflow works best for you, what you need to be prioritizing, etc., etc. So sometimes the schedule does need to change, and other times it changes because you're bored of it or whatever. So I was afraid of tying myself down to a schedule because it would also give me an opportunity to be like, I failed at the schedule, I'm such a failure. But this is about failing, but also that's a mindset thing, right? If you didn't do the schedule but you got everything done, that's fine. Or if you did the schedule and you didn't get everything done, that's also fine. It's just about learning and trying your best. So next week we are really going to actually put in a schedule where there will be things that we have to do. There will be optional things. I'm going to try to design a schedule where I can change things as I go along, there's built-in agency and options, because I don't like not having options. But in the end, schedules do give me more options in a way, because if I schedule what I do, I will have more free time and liberty to spend my time how I actually want it. And I control my schedule, so it's not actually infringing upon my own freedom because I'm making it. I'm making the rules. And then I'm not controlled by the whims of like, I'm hungry, I'll eat early, or I'll whatever. And if I have built-in options and built-in free time, I don't think I'll feel as restricted. So I'm going to build a good schedule. And I don't think at the beginning of this week I could have built as good of a schedule because I didn't really know how we were doing this. But now that I do, I definitely think I could build a much better schedule than I could have then, and I'm going to use that knowledge to build one and go into this week with what I know. Thank you guys so much for coming out and listening to this episode of A Fool's Errand. This week was a major success. I learned a ton. I might be sharing what I learned with you as we go along. Maybe I could just give you a fun fact. But as always, thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked the episode, it would be great if you could leave a review. If you want to contact us, you can do that at A Fool's Errand Pod on Twitter or foolserrand@gmail.com. One other thing I've learned about this 12-month project that I didn't really say in the main section, I oftentimes forget things and then say them right at the end of the podcast. This shows you how efficient we are. But is that this 12-month project might be a lot more of the other months. I've been training with Jude, as discussed earlier. I've been playing chess games. I've been having a ton of fun with that, and Jude's been learning a lot. Because I didn't have that daily schedule built up, I have been kind of inefficient with how I've been training Jude. But we have, and he's definitely getting better, and that's been real fun. And I think as we continue on, I'm going to continue to learn about the Constitution and American history and all other forms of history. When I finish Piano Month, if I really enjoyed that, I'm probably going to keep taking piano lessons and such. So this will kind of extend through the entire year. And so I can gain new hobbies and skills that I can keep going with. But I'm going to get the most of the effort out in 1 month and learn maybe how much I like it and how I want to pursue it in future. I know in previous episodes I discussed that I would have the parts I would memorizing after the music fades out, kind of as an accountability thing, kind of as a fun little treat for you guys. But since we aren't memorizing completely, we won't exactly have that. I still want to actually have that after the end. I'm just going to list the ideas I know, and it may sound really bad because I haven't quite polished how I say it yet, but I'm just going to list the ideas I know as far as I can, and then that'll be after the music fades out. So stick around if you want to hear me my way through the sections of the Constitution up all the way through Article 1. I did memorize Article 1 this week, which is actually about 1/3 of the Constitution, which is really nice because I have 2 weeks left and 1/3 of the Constitution. That only took me like 3 days, so it shouldn't take me super long to memorize the entire thing. Maybe it's 1/4. I don't know. There are a lot of articles, but Article 1 is definitely the longest. So thank you guys so much for listening. As always, love y'all. Keep family.
Hey, look, you stuck around to hear me recite the thing. Low-quality audio, I'm sorry. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Article 1, Section 1, Congress. Congress is the House of Representatives plus the Senate. And the powers given and denied will be listed in the following sections. Section 2, the House of Representatives. Representatives shall be elected every second year. They must be 25 years or older and a citizen of the United States for 7 years or longer, and a citizen of the state they wish to be elected to at time of election. Taxation and representation shall be decided by population, which is 3/5 of all enslaved individuals, plus all free men and non-tax Native Americans are not to be added. The House of Representatives shall elect a Speaker of the House and other such offices that they may require, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Section 3, the Senate. Senators, there shall be 2 senators for each state, and they should be elected every 6 years and shall have a term of 6 years. There shall be 3 classes of senator, so that we hold elections for them every 2 years, because you have three classes and 6-year term, you know what I'm saying, right? You understand me. The senator should be 35 years or older and a citizen of the United States for 9 years or longer, and be a citizen of the state they wish to represent at time of election. The vice president shall be the president of the Senate and shall preside over meetings. The Senate shall elect a pro tempore who shall preside when the vice president is not there. The Senate shall have the sole power to try impeachments. If they are gathered for this purpose, a Chief Justice shall preside, and everyone should be under oath. Section 4, elections. Elections for representatives shall be decided by the population, by the popular vote. But for senators, it was state legislators who decided, but then later it was changed to popular vote in the 17th Amendment. Section 5, the powers and duties of Congress. Congress shall judge their own elections. I know what the next bit is. And with the 2/3 majority, shall be able to hold quorum and therefore do business, but a smaller number may meet from day to day, and if they wish, compel the other members to come in so they can adjourn and have a 2/3 majority. Each house shall decide rules for its proceedings, punish members for disorderly behavior, and with a 2/3 majority, kick a member out. They shall keep a journal, which they will publish from time to time, unless there is something that needs to be kept secret. And with 1/5 or more of those present, they shall include all yeas and nays on votes and such. And neither house shall adjourn for 10 days. Neither house shall adjourn for 3 days or more without the consent of the other. Neither house shall adjourn for 3 days, 3 or more days. Neither house shall adjourn for more than 3 days without the consent of the other. Section 6, the rights and disabilities of members. Members of Congress will be paid by the Treasury from time to time. They shall have privilege from arrest during session unless it be for a felony. Bribery, treason, or disruption of the peace. If a member of Congress voted to create an office of government or raise the salary for an office in government, they cannot later hold that office of government. Section 7, the legislative process. All bills to raise revenue shall begin in the House of Representatives, where they will be sent to the Senate, and then after that to the President. The President can sign the bills, or if he does not accept them, he can put his objections in and send them back. With a 2/3 majority at either house, they can accept the objections and it will become law. If not, it will not become law. If the President does not return a bill within 10 days of receiving it, excluding Sundays, it shall be law as if he signed it. Section 8, the powers of Congress. Congress shall manage taxation, borrowing money, lending money, and basically most things managing money. They shall manage citizenship and commerce. They shall manage commerce with foreign affairs, citizenship, and issues of bankruptcy. They shall have the ability to coin money, decide the value thereof, and create currency, decide the weights and measures, and punish people who create fake money. What's that called? There's a name for that. I just forgot it, though. They shall have the ability to create post roads and manage the postal service. They shall manage patents and copyright. They shall patents and copyright. They shall create courts inferior to the Supreme Court and tribunals to manage federal land and to finally create laws, probably their biggest and most important power. Section 9, the powers denied Congress. Congress shall not manage the slave trade until 1908. Before that, they can put a $10 tax on each person brought into the United States. Congress shall not infringe upon the right to appear before court. They cannot punish you for for breaking a law which didn't exist when you committed your crime, like retroactively. And they can not punish someone without having them appear before a court of law unless it be a time of war. They cannot lay direct tax unless exception. I don't really know what the exception is. I'm still trying to figure that out. They cannot use money they cannot take money out of the Treasury unless the law permits it. They cannot grant titles of nobility. And that's it. Powers denied the states. The states cannot enter into any treaty with other states or any... Oh, wait, no, I forgot one. Back it up. Powers denied Congress, I forgot. They cannot, they cannot favorite any states or any ports, trades for taxation or stuff like that. They can't, make some easier for one state to trade rather than another, and stuff like that. Okay, back to the powers denied the states. Can enter into any treaty or agreement with their fellow states or with any foreign countries. They can only do very specific things when coining money. I don't think they can decide the value. They cannot restrict upon the right to appear before court. Neither can they punish someone for a crime wasn't a crime when it was made, they can, punish someone retroactively, and they can't punish someone before they appear before a court of law. They cannot tax products coming in and out of their state unless without permission from the Congress. Any money made this way must go to the Treasury, and they can sometimes tax, but only when it's for inspections and stuff. The states, finally, cannot declare war, control their, or do anything that the Congress does not permit with their army, militias, or navies, unless they are being attacked or about to be attacked. And then we go to Article 2, Section 1, about the president. I know some of that. That may sound a bit rusty, and that is both because I have not done it for 2 days because it's Monday and it was the weekend, and also because I need to get better at saying it in a way that is clear and concise. I mean, I understand the ideas, but I want to be able to say it. So if anyone asks, I can say it, and I can help, teach other people and stuff.